Welcome back. We are all the way down to section 4 of module 17. We've been talking about advanced formula creation in this particular module. This last section, formula auditing, is all about formulas that you might have in a file and being able to find those formulas, which cells are referenced in those formulas, or vice versa. I want to go ahead and show you a little bit about how to work with some of the formula auditing tools that Excel has available. There are several things I want to show you in here in reference to the auditing feature. First of all, you'll notice there's several error messages right in here, and I want to tell you what these actually mean because you'll see these from time to time. The first one that says number sign and it says div/0 exclamation point. Because it has the word div in it, that tells you there's a division error in here. If I open this up, you'll notice it's trying to figure out the average of the range D11 through G11. Average includes a part of math where you actually divide. There is nothing to divide. You can divide a 0 by a 0, but you can't divide absolutely nothing by absolutely nothing, and that's what that means. If I put in any cell in that range just a 0, it could be any number, you'll notice immediately I have my answer over here and the formula is correct. So anytime you see the div, there's something with division going on that it doesn't like. I'll go ahead and plug these in. This one here that says number name, this is a very common one that you might see. We've been talking a lot about range names, and if you look on our drop down here, we've got Ravina, and if you notice that's this person's last name, and it refers to D12 through G12. If I look at the formula over here, it looks like they're trying to average Ravina, but they misspelled the name. That's why there's no name R-I-V-N-A. His name is actually R-I-V-E-N-A, and that's how we had set it up here when we originally had looked at this. Let me hit escape. There you go. R-I-V-E-N-A, and this one is spelled R-I-V-N-A. You can fix this by spelling the name correctly. If I drag across this, I can certainly type it, but I could also go to my Formulas tab and choose that name from the Use in Formula option right here. And now that it's spelled correctly, when I hit the Enter key, that name will disappear. Now this one actually has another error because there's division that goes on. As soon as I plug in the zeros like you see here, you'll see that now the error is gone. So those are two very popular errors that I wanted you to be aware of. Now let's say that I click inside of a cell that has a formula. This could be any cell here. On your Formulas tab, when you come over to the Formula Auditing section here, you'll see a couple of things. Like I want you to be aware of this Show Formulas button. If I turn this on, I can see all of the formulas that are actually in my file here. And this will print just like this. This is very handy if you're trying to create a formula very similar to one here and maybe you're in another file. You can look at what you did previously. There's several different reasons for wanting to actually see these. If you don't want to see them, you can go back and turn off your Show Formulas and you're back to where you were. I also want to point out the Trace Precedence and Trace Dependence right here. If I'm clicked in a cell with a formula, I can trace the precedence. These are going to be all the cells that are used in this formula. You can see in this case that it's using D7 through G7. If you ever want to remove these arrows, there is an option right here that says Remove Arrows. If you click in a cell that is not a formula, that's called a constant. I have the ability to see which formulas this cell was used in. That's the option Trace Dependence. It's looking for the dependent cells, the ones in formulas, that are dependent on this one to get an answer. You can see this cell is used in, it looks like a couple of formulas. It's used over in H14, it's used in I14, and you can see down here it looks like F22. So that's another good thing you'll want to know from time to time. Again, to remove these, I can come over to the Remove Arrows and turn that off. Now notice there's a drop down here because sometimes you don't want to remove all the arrows. Sometimes you want to remove just the precedent arrows or just the dependent arrows. Either one would work for you. That's just a quick overview of some of those formula auditing tools that I wanted you to really be aware of here. Let's go ahead and wrap up Module 17. We've been looking at some advanced formulas, and now I want to go ahead and take you over into Module 18, where we're going to discuss pivot tables.